Okay, hi guys. This is the second lesson for term 3, week 4. Okay, and we are still on chapter 8. You will need your chapter 8 worksheet with you. Okay, the one that we were working on the previous lesson. And as you can see, these are our objectives for today. We are still working on annotation like we did last lesson, except today we will be looking a bit more closely at speech. This is something that we always see in passages. This is something we always see in the book. But one of the problems that we run into is that we are always just reporting what the character is saying. We're just paraphrasing it. Today we want to focus on how does what someone say how does the content of what somebody says reveals what a person is like. Okay, so just some basic theory first before we look at a passage. We're going to talk about what somebody says. Okay, when we look at what someone says, we can look at it in terms of content and the tone. Okay, so I could say I love you, but if I say it very sarcastically, that might mean something else. Okay, in the same way I might say I hate you, but if it was said in a certain tone, it might change the way it is interpreted. My point is, when we put it together, tone and content, it gives you meaning, right? Or rather, the what the speaker really means. And from here, from what a character really means, we can guess at the kind of person the speaker is. Okay, so that is what we want to talk about today. We were trying to figure out what kind of person Johnny's mother is based on what she's saying. So if you will look at me, we're at the passage, okay? We are looking at Johnny's mother, and at this point, if you haven't already read the passage, please pause and read the passage. In a few seconds, I will continue to annotate and to figure out what's going on, okay? Okay, let's go. So we can look at the physical appearance first. So cheap and hard straight away. That tells me something. What is Johnny's mother like? Okay, let's go and look at. But I have a right to see. He's my son. Oh, sorry, there is a typo here. I have a right to see him. So what kind of person is she that she says she has a right? Does she have a right to see him? Yes, Johnny is her son by blood relation. But the question is, of course, has she treated him like her son? So let's have a look at how she describes Johnny. After all the trouble his father and I have gone to raise him. So if we think about it, all the trouble, this is the first thing Johnny's mother thinks of. What is she thinking of? She's thinking of how much she suffered. And she is focused on her own suffering while her son is in hospital. Okay, think about what that says about what kind of person he is. Okay, and then he says, this is our reward. What does it say about her expectations? Okay, so Johnny's mother, she expects something, right? So what is her idea of her treatment of Johnny? The way that I would describe this is that she's very transactional. What I mean is, normally when we talk about a mother's love, we have this idea of sacrificial love, right? Like you'll do anything. But in here, Johnny's mother seems to say that since he's my son and I have gone through some trouble to raise him, he must repay me in some sense. So that the question is that love? Is that what you see when you let's say your family member were to be in hospital? All right. He'd rather see those no-count hoodlums than his own folks. Of course, here the question is, of course, who is Johnny's real family? All right. Then let's go on. She saw us and gave us such a look of hatred that I almost backed up. Now, this might sound normal, but I would like you to think about who Ponyboy is and who Johnny, who Johnny's mother is. Imagine that you were in hospital looking after your friend, and then you met your friend's mom, and the first thing that your friend's mom did is to give you a look of hatred. So, how I would say this is her first impression, right? Oh, no, not really first impression. Rather, I would say this is how she relates to teenagers. Imagine Ponyboy is just a 14-year-old. Okay, imagine if I walked into class and gave you a look of hatred. That's what it would be like. Okay, let's go on and let's see what else she says. She says, "It was your fault." Oh, whose fault is this now? That's a question, right? Whose fault is it? What is she doing? She is blaming Ponyboy. Now, she is blaming Ponyboy. The question is, when you are blaming somebody, what should you look at first? You should look at yourself, right? So again, if she is blaming Ponyboy, the question is, what does it show about her? Okay, and finally we can look at Ponyboy's reaction. I thought she was gonna cuss us out. Can you imagine if an adult started swearing at you? Okay, so this is Ponyboy's reaction. We could also pay attention to this. Okay, so this is something that we want to talk about. I would like you to prepare this answer. Okay, you can do it on the worksheet. Okay, you can do it on the worksheet, or you can do it on a piece of foolscap. Okay, just jot down your answer. Jot down an impression. Okay, give me evidence. More importantly, the thing I want you all to focus on is explanation. In your explanation, you should answer the question, what is Johnny's mother like? Because that is what the passage is asking you for. Okay, and then we will discuss that in class. All right, see you next week.